I worked for billionaire Grant Cardone for 2 whole years, and I learned some of the craziest stuff that you will never see from the outside being on the inside for 2 years. I got a whole list that I'm gonna share with you, so stick around. This is gonna be a crazy video. Here's the backstory. I graduated with a marketing degree, and I was sitting on my couch. 2 weeks later, I read Grant Cardone's real estate book, and I noticed his office was 20 minutes away from my house, and I was like, that's something I could probably go do. Lo and behold, I got an interview. I bullshitted my way in the door. I didn't know anything about the position that I was applying for, so I applied for investor relations for Cardone Capital, which is his real estate division. I had no real estate background, I had no sales background. I had an online drop shipping business, so I thought I knew about business. But I went in there, I landed an interview, I somehow BS'd my way in, I got hired. And I worked for him for 2 whole years. So I got hired in July of 2019, and I recently left my job, well, not recently, it was about 6 months ago, in July of 2021. So I got 2 whole years. And what I'll do is I'm gonna lay out the categories of everything I learned and then fill in the blanks as we go through the video. Number 1, the most important thing I learned was looking how Grant operated and how to actually run a business. So when I was working there, I think we had when I started, we had 80 employees, and the company had grown to 150 employees, and this was through COVID. So I was looking at Grant, looking at how he treated his employees, how he grew his team, how he talked to his executives. So that was a crucial thing. Me wanting to be a business owner is I learned watching someone super powerful do it himself. So number 1 was how to actually run the business. The culture at Grant's office was pretty intense. You had to work really hard, show up early, leave late, and if you didn't fit into the culture, you were gone in an instant. So the fact that I was there for 2 years meant that I was a good fit for the organization, because I literally saw people get hired one day and fired the literal next day. It literally happened. So that was a crucial skill to learn. Like, hey, if you're building a team, you need to find people with the right fit and the right culture. Number 2, something crazy important. Sales. Grant has this program called Cardone University that we had access to train on every single day. And it basically teaches you how to cold call, how to prospect, how to follow up, how to handle objections. So everything you need to know about sales on the phone is what I learned. So my job was actually cold calling or warm calling investors to invest in Grant's properties. So I learned how to talk on the phone for 2 whole years. I'm talking about like 6-7 hours of talk time per day. So just that repetition and getting trained by someone who's a professional at sales will blow your freaking mind. So that applies in my business now when I call stores that I want to sell to, or I want to call real estate agents, or anyone I want to call. I learned how to effectively communicate and get straight to the point. So sales, I would put phone skills, is crazy. Also, while I was working there, Grant had numerous events like his 10X Growth Conference, his boot camps, and this is where thousands of people would come to listen to Grant teach business, have guest speakers, et cetera, et cetera. So I was actually meeting people in person, shaking hands face to face, doing deals. Like I had someone invest $1 million one time, and it was an in-person deal. And I'm a freaking 21-year-old kid at the time. Now I'm 24, but still, like it was crazy knowledge that I was getting access to by working for someone like Grant. Something else that was super important about sales was watching Grant's funnels. So Grant had a lot of funnels where he would offer something free, offer something for like $10, then $97, then $5,000, then you're investing $1 million in Cardone Capital. So that's something that I kept in mind was, hey, how do you go wide, find everyone in your niche, and slowly upsell them to more products? Grant was a genius. He would get people to buy books. He would get people to do a simple course, come to an event, sign up for Cardone University, invest in Cardone Capital, and then he has another business called Cardone Ventures where they actually take a piece of equity in your business as you grow. So he has a full cycle business. So that was something that was super cool to see, is like, hey, he has the all-in-one package. Next biggest thing, and probably my favorite thing, is money. Grant is an expert on money and teaching you what to do with your money. So the biggest thing is really how to prioritize income. He says, hey man, don't worry about your expenses, because your expenses could only go down to 0. But if you focus on increasing your income, that can go to infinity. So as long as you just focus on increasing your income in your business, whether you have a job, a sales job, any sort of job where you can increase your income, do more sales, that's gonna solve all your problems. If you have problems paying your bills or have problems in your business, can't hire enough employees, focus on increasing income, and that will literally solve all your problems. So money, just income. You gotta get your income up. Another thing that he really preaches on is when you make money, Save your money to invest. Don't just save your money to save. So if you're making a lot of money, let's say you're making 500 grand a year, you need to stack that cash away and then eventually put it to work. Because that cash is useless unless you go invest in something like real estate, stocks if you want, go buy another business, something that produces more cash flow. You gotta have your cash and make your cash make more babies. And that's what Grant really honed in on, is like, hey guys, you gotta get your money to work, because you can only make so much money yourself in your business. When you start making money in your business and you start multiplying your money through multiple investments, that's when real wealth is created. So focusing on income, investing that money is super crucial. So that's gonna jump me to my next point, which is real estate. So I worked on Grant's real estate team. I raised money from investors. I was in the middle of deals, seeing how he acquired, how he talked to brokers, what he looked for in a real estate property, saying, hey, this property's in a sick location. It's got this many units. Like, I literally learned what, like, you can't learn that in college, right? There was real estate courses that my college offered, and you cannot learn what Grant teaches because you have to see it for yourself. So for example, number one, it's how to actually get a deal. Grant, when he sees a property, he's not initially telling you, hey, let's start negotiating right up front. I want a lower price. Grant will go to the broker and be like, hey man, I love your deal. I want to buy it for full price. He'll get that thing under contract, and then that's when you can start negotiating. But you can't negotiate a deal unless you have it under contract. So number one is, hey, be super friendly with the brokers. That's your buddy, that's your friend, because that's who's gonna let you get the deal. Another thing I noticed about Grant is he makes a lot of money in his businesses, but he takes all of that money and shoves it into multifamily real estate. So essentially, the goal is to make a whole bunch of money, put it into a cash flowing asset like real estate, and have that passive income override your ordinary income. So if you're making $500,000 in your business, you need to invest a certain amount of money to make that same amount of money in passive income over time. So $10 million invested in real estate paying 6% annually, that's $50,000 a month, that's 600 grand a year. That's how you get to that level. So he really taught me, he's like, hey, it opened my eyes. If you want to retire, you don't need Roth IRAs, you don't need 401ks. Focus on making a lot of money, shove it all into real estate, and eventually get that cash flow where, hey, you're 30, 40, 50 years old, and you've got 50, 60, 100 grand coming in every single month like clockwork. So real estate, you got cash flow, and then you got passive income. I'm sorry, my handwriting is absolutely brutal. I skipped marketing, but I'll quickly tell you, Grant's whole marketing strategy is how to grab attention. So he knows how to piss people off when he talks. He knows how to get you to listen because he says things that aren't true traditional. So the biggest thing I learned was how to get attention. There's a reason Grant has 10, 15 plus million followers on all of his channels, is because he'll say some stuff that'll piss you off. There's probably way more people out there that hate Grant than that love him. But if 100 million people hate Grant, but 15 million people love him, he can still make so much money from that certain part of 15 million people. So long story short, if you wanna make money, you have to grab attention. That's Grant's biggest thing. He's a personality, he's loud, he's cocky in a way. He talks the talk, but he walks the walk for sure. And last but not least, I think this is the most crucial and most useful thing that I'll take, is how to think 10x. Now people hear Grant's 10x, they're like, oh, 10x, 10x. No, let me explain to you what it actually means. He removed the limitations from people's mindsets. Like, if you wanna go out and make $10 million, you have to think big enough to reach that $10 million goal. So if you actually wanna make $10 million, you should be thinking with, how do I make $100 million? Because if you think of how to make $100 million, you're gonna shoot for the moon and potentially land on the stars. I don't know what the thing is, but you have to think big in everything you do, right? Like my fishing business, and it's hard to do because your goals should be so big that they scare you. So Grant's biggest thing, he talks about goals. You have to have huge goals. Your goals have to be so big that they actually scare you. If you talk to an ordinary person, a lot of people in this world have limiting beliefs on what they can do, whether they're stuck in a job or they can't increase their income or they can't do more, they can't make more calls. Grant takes that whole mindset and he just tells you no. If you read his book, The 10X Rule, he walks through it, and it's honestly something life-changing because it's a completely different mindset that if you've never been exposed to, you would never have that idea. So long story short, Grant Cardone, he's a fucking badass. I don't care what people think. Is he a dick? Is he? No, he's not. Like, I don't even want to say that. Grant is honestly, he's a super ethical person, and that mother effer knows how to make money and knows how to run a business. He became a billionaire in the last 10 years, right? In 2008, 2009, he talks about how he only had like a $5 to $10 million net worth. And this past couple months, he just passed $1 billion in net worth. So just to recap, Grant is really good at teaching business skills, super good at teaching sales. If you want to learn about money, he's a good guy to follow. He just sometimes exaggerates the reality of like what you can do. He tells you on your first real estate deal, you should go buy 36 units. That's typically difficult if you have no experience and no money, because if you want to buy $36 million or 36 units in South Florida, you're going to need at least $1 to $3 million as a down payment. So kind of unrealistic, but he's still the lesson he's trying to teach of go big as your first investment is there. Marketing, you have to get attention. If you want to grow your following, grow your personal brand, you got to be different. You got to be loud. You got to get people to say, holy shit, let me pay attention to what this guy's doing. And that's what Grant's really good at. Real estate, I mean, the dude owns 10,000 units. He's buying up all of South Florida. So if you're interested in multifamily, he's a good guy to follow. He can teach you how to do it, but he's probably going to get you to invest in Cardone Capital, which is not a bad thing. They got some really good assets. And then lastly, how to 10X, how to think bigger. So if you guys want, comment below. I can dive deeper into each one of these and probably list out 10 things I learned about business, 20 things I learned about sales, 10 things I learned about money. So if you want to see a video on one specific topic on what I learned from Grant, just about real estate or just about money, comment below. I'm happy to do it. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. If not, F off. No, I'm just kidding. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.